Hey everybody, it's DJ and welcome back to Over Here We Craft for Money. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you can pick up at Walmart today, bring home, customize, and sell in your pop-up shop, in your small business, on your Etsy page, or anywhere you choose to. So stick around because we're about to make this money. Welcome to Over Here We Craft, the channel dedicated to helping you turn your love of crafting into supplemental income. I'm DJ, a small business owner, a crafter, and low-key, an undercover foodie. Connect with me on Facebook and TikTok. Now let's get into this next video. So the first thing that I want you to think about when you go inside of Walmart is how you can take advantage of some of their great pricing on apparel, particularly in the kids section. Now, I don't have any children myself, but I have an amazing niece named Milani. And so if you've ever gone over into the kids section, Walmart is famous for selling a brand called Garanimal. Now, these are priced anywhere from $3.98 to $5.98 per piece. So I got this cute little pink striped Garanimal. She wears a 4T. This one was $3.98. I also snatched up a cute little pair of white shorts in the same size. Again, really nice cotton material, nice and durable. Again, $3.98. They had this super cute little one piece right here. One piece, $4.98, $5. And then this I already did. It had a little tank top and a little pair of ruffled shorts. Again, each piece was $3.98 or $4.98. So how can you make supplemental income from this? Well, I'm going to show you 3 different ways that I customized those 3 outfits that I am able, if I wanted to sell this and it wasn't a gift for her, I would be able to sell each of these for nothing less than $15. And that's on the low end. So the first way that I changed how this was is I put a little vinyl image that I created myself and a little bit of rhinestone bling in the little hearts. So now this tank top is now customized. You can do this with heat transfer vinyl and a little bit of bling. And now instead of this shirt being worth $4, you could charge upwards of $10. To make this set complete, I put a little bling flower on her shorts. So now she has a 2-piece set, customized. This colors that I chose here are the same ones that are in her shorts. So now, y'all, she has a cute little set that now has flower on her little pant leg and grandma sunshine. That's just one way. The second way that I'm going to show you involves a cutter machine, so a Cricut or a silhouette, and I'm going to be doing a glitter overlay, so layering, and we're going to make a shirt that says Mommy's Bestie for my sister and her when they are out, and we're going to put that on our cute little pink and white shirt. And then, because my niece is a huge fan of Peppa Pig, you guys know who Peppa Pig is? I did not know until I talked to my sister. But I found an image of Peppa Pig online, and I am going to do a hack where you can put sublimation onto a cotton fabric item. Now, normally in sublimation, you have to have something that has a high polyester count. So really nothing less than 65% of the garment should be polyester. And even then, it's going to be a little dull. The more polyester that's in the fabric, the more vibrant the colors are going to come out. But a goodie but goodie hack, okay, is to find yourself some vinyl, but it has to be glitter vinyl, which I have here. I don't know if you guys can tell it, but when we press it, you'll see. It has to have something to adhere to. So we're going to take this glitter vinyl, press it first, and put our sublimation image on top of it. And that's what we're going to put on her little cute one piece. So let's go ahead and make this item 3 ways. All right, so we are now in Cricut Design Space. I do pay for my plan in Cricut. I think it's $9.99 a month. Anywho, so we're going to go ahead and type out the message that I want on the first item. And in this case, it's going to be Mommy's Best. My sister and my niece are definitely each other's besties. So the first thing I'm going to do is look for my font. I am using Summer Hipster. And if you saw my video on Creative Fabrica, that is where I got this font from. So the one thing that I like to do when I am designing in Cricut Design Space and I'm using my own fonts that I've brought in is I need to change them into a color that I can see, because as you can see on the screen, the words are not welded together. The letters are not welded together. And if I'm not careful, Cricut is going to cut that as individual letters, and that's not what we want. So once I go ahead and put it in the color I like that I can see, I welded it, and now I'm going to merge them both together, and I'm going to put an offset behind it. I'm doing this because of the hack that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. In order for me to be able to layer, I need to be able to have an offset. So there's going to be one color, and then we're going to lay the second color on top. Now in this situation, this is going to be a beautiful cranberry color. I believe that that is a Caesar HTV, and then I know that I'm using Caesar for my glitter vinyl. The one thing to keep in mind when you are working with heat transfer vinyl is you can layer heat transfer vinyl on top of one another, but you should not layer heat transfer vinyl on top of glitter vinyl. It needs to be the other way around. So the first layer of your word needs to be the heat transfer vinyl, and then the top layer needs to be glitter. So that is what you see me doing. I realized here, and I decided not to edit out the mistakes, but I realized that I wanted to put some hearts because we love hearts in my family. And so I needed to take the offset off and do the bestie again. And then I realized, oh, I want to put a heart over the eye so that instead of a regular circle, it's going to be a heart. But I don't know if y'all can see my frustration with this, even though I have it sped up a little bit, because this T was just not doing what I needed it to do. And let me know in the chat if you know what I could have done to stretch the T out in width without compromising the rest of the word, because the strike across the top of the T is coming over so close to the little dot on the I that it won't let me put a heart there. And when I try, even though I ungroup it and I isolate it, I move them over, this T is just being so disrespectful and not doing what I want. It keeps getting even closer to the letter I, preventing me from putting my pretty yellow heart in there, at least on the design. You know, when we cut it out, we're going to choose two different colors. But for the purposes of designing, like the T was just giving me problems, y'all. And I was trying to splice it out. I was trying to remove it. And it just would not do what I wanted it to do. I mean, seriously, I'm so glad that the actual voice was muted, because I promise y'all, I was probably using some 4-letter words. Once I finally got the I to go away, the heart still wouldn't work out right for me there, because the T would not let me be great. So there I am again, attempting to retype the word and start all over again. Because sometimes I just realize, like, I forget what steps I've done, and I just think, just delete it and start again, and maybe it'll work out. But clearly, as you guys can see from this, it did not do what I needed it to do. And even though I ungrouped it, I stretched it, then I said, okay, well, maybe if I move it back over and tilt it a little bit, because it just would not widen out. And as it did, it kept bringing that strike across the top of the T with it. And so, yeah, just really, really not doing what I needed. Again, if you know what I could have done in the chat, now that you know what I was attempting to do, please let me know we can all learn from each other. I am no expert by any stretch. I am just sharing with you guys what I go through as I am crafting and making things as gifts and for my family as well as for my small business. And in the truth, we don't always get it right on the first go round. And I thought, well, maybe someone can either teach me in this experience or also learn, so that if this is what's happening to them, you will know that you are not alone, that I am here with you. And I was struggling too. So I will definitely be gleaning the comments on this video to see if anybody can drop down any advice on how I could have done it. In a few moments, you're going to see me try to tilt this T, because I finally got the heart the right size and I got the E together. But the minute I bring it, that T just will not stretch so I can weld it into there. No matter how I tried to work it, y'all, it just would not do it. Yeah, I feel just like that little emoji. It just would not do it. So at this point, now we're gonna try to tilt it. That's not gonna work. And I just didn't like how it looked. Like that didn't look right. It just, if the bottom of that T just could have stretched just a little bit, we would have been making it magic. But even the tilt was just ugly. And I just said, forget it. I can't do it anymore. I gotta keep going for the sake of getting the project done. So we retyped Bestie, changed the color back. We're going to go ahead and line it up, weld it one more time so that the Cricut machine knows that I want it to cut as one word. And I'm just going to add my hearts separately. So we're going to click on the shapes and we're going to bring in our hearts, and then we're going to duplicate it once we get it to the size we want. And we're going to put our hearts at different parts of the image. So sometimes you just got to pivot, guys, and figure out a different way to get it done. So once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and group them all together so that the machine can add the offset around it for me. I went on ahead and changed the color, and then here I'm adding my offset so that I can see it. I had to move it down. And so now I can see how is it going to look. And so I was kind of torn between, do I want it to be very close to it or do I want a bigger outline? And so I'm playing with the dimensions now. That's what it would look like if I went with the bigger white glitter vinyl and the cranberry color, but I decided I actually wanted it to be a little closer than that. And so we're going to go ahead and shrink the outline down so that it is a nice thin offset, but still will be able to stand out off of the shirt color. Because remember, our shirt we're putting this on is pink and white, and so we need the offset. So I'm going to change the offset to white, and then I ended up finding some beautiful glitter vinyl to put up underneath that. And so yeah, I think this one is ready to go. So we are going to go ahead and move this over to the cut machine and go ahead and let it cut. Now it's time to send it over to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and save the file so that I can always have it. And then once we hit save, it is now saved, and we're going to move over into setting up our machine. I'm telling it to save in the cloud as opposed to taking up storage on my computer. You all know in my previous video, I told you about my storage issues, and I'm not going to make the same mistake with this new computer. All right, so now Cricut is thinking about it. We have it on the mat. So as you can see, it's going to separate it out into two mats, one for the offset and one for the actual inset. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my mat size because there's no need for me to cut on a 12 by 24. My Cricut always defaults to that. I guess everybody's does, but I'm going to take it down to a 12 by 12 mat because they can both fit on there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to put in two mats. I could have, but I can click on those three dots, click move object, and move it to the mat that I want it on. So because I know that I'm doing two different colors, the key here is to separate them both. Remember which color is the offset and which color is the inset, and I can fit them both. Now the matte color won't change, so it's really going to be up to me to remember that the top image is going to be my heat transfer vinyl, and the bottom image, the skinnier image, is going to be my glitter vinyl. So that way, when I press them on top of one another, they're going to fit. So the next thing my machine needs to do is be connected. I am connected with it via Bluetooth. Love that about and just in case you're wondering, I have the Cricut Era Explorer 2. It works just fine for the purposes that I need, and I love mine. So now I need to pick the type of material that I'm going to use. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and this is the pros and the cons of using one color mats to do this. I would normally cut my vinyl using the heavier material. And in this case, that's the glitter vinyl. So I did put glitter pressure on, even though I know it's going to cut a little deeper in the regular heat transfer vinyl. I would rather it cut the glitter vinyl the way I need. So you see me using an older mat. I use some painter's tape to keep my uh, vinyl down on the mat. Could have got a fresh one out if I wanted to, but again, with a little bit of painter's tape, I'm still able to use the older mat. Now, would I have done this with sticker paper projects and things like that? No, but vinyl can take it, and I knew where my lines were going to be, so I just put it on a fast cut, and I stood nearby just to make sure that the vinyl didn't pop up, and it did not. So now we're going to bring it over to the table. We're going to go ahead and remove our little pieces of painter's tape, and we're going to go ahead and get this baby weeded out. So yeah, you got to pick it off. Now, the one thing that I didn't think about, and you can see how it's curling up right here. We have our rolls of vinyl and we roll them up and, for easy storage, but the longer those rolls stay in there like that, that paper wants to stay bent up, which makes it a little bit of a nightmare when it's time for us to do the weeding, right? And so I know some folks will put something down on the side of it, like a tape dispenser. I've seen people use glass blocks for that, limestone blocks for that use little blocks that you could just pick up at your home improvement store. I'm just going to deal with it. What you see me doing there was cutting off the excess vinyl. I didn't use it all, so I can save those scraps for another project, especially when I'm making stuff for little people, because their projects don't take as much of the heat transfer vinyl as adult projects do. So I'll always find a use for some of that little extra. All right, so now this is me trying to get the vinyl started and pulling. And what I love about Caesar, and I know folks all have their favorite, brands that they like to use. I'm a fan of Caesar simply because it's easy to just get it started and pull. And if you just take your time and go from top to bottom and wiggle it a little bit as you go and pull, it really does stay together and is able to come off so easy. And so now I got to the end. I see that I have a little extra vinyl left for scraps. So instead of ruining that last, I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to clean up and go ahead in and weed out with one of my favorite weeding tools, the little insides of the letters, because you don't want them there, considering that we're going to be doing an offset and layer. I want to be able to get inside there and see those. That little picker tool I'm using came from my cousin in Atlanta. He sent it. We had a little buddy shopping list where we would add things we wanted, and then we'd surprise one another and go in and buy something for the person off their wish list and send it to them. And one day, a couple years ago, this showed up, but I absolutely love it. So we have our first one done with our little weeding tool, Mommy's Bestie. And I do like it. I mean, I would have loved if that little dot could have been a heart, but I just couldn't even focus on dealing with that anymore. All right, so you see I chose that beautiful cranberry color there. So we're going to cut off that extra vinyl, save those for scraps. And now we're going to go ahead and weed out the offset part. You'll know the difference in case you're wondering. The offset is always going to be slightly bigger than the internal set that you have there, okay? So that's why I knew that the one at the top was going to be for my heat transfer vinyl, and the one at the bottom on the mat was going to be my glitter. So again, we're going to go ahead in here and pick these out. I take my time with this. I know some people find weeding relaxing. I'm one of those people. I'm people. So I don't mind weeding it. Now, if I had to make 100 of these, would I be doing it this way? Probably not. But because I'm making one and this amount is quite manageable, this is my preferred method of choice. So now we're just going to do some double checking, making sure that I got all those pieces, making sure that I didn't miss anything, because it's very easy to do, even with my good glasses on. So now I'm going to lay this on top, make sure, think it looks good. It's very squiggly, honey, so it is definitely moving, but it let me catch the last piece. Thankful. Looks good though. Now it's time to make Peppa Pig. I didn't show you how I designed her, but basically I went to Canva, found her image on Google, brought it in, removed the background, added some splashes of color and glitter sparkle to the background, added a frame, and brought it over here into Cricut. Now just be careful about grabbing images off of Google because you could find yourself dealing with a copyright infringement situation, and I would hate that for you. But I'm not selling this when I'm making this, especially for my niece, so it's okay for me to use. But once I've lined them up and make sure my sizing is right, I flatten the Peppa Pig image and put it through the print and cut. There are some boundary lines around print and cut, and if that's something you all want to know more about, please let me know down in the comments and I will do a video on it. But once I have it set up, it is going to be on 2 separate mats, and we're okay with that. We want to mirror our image so that when it prints out, both images are mirrored, which is what we need in order for this hack to work. We're going to send one to the printer and one to the cutter. They'll eventually both go to the cutter, but as far as the machine cutting, it can't cut Peppa Pig until we print it out on our printer. So here I'm just changing the dimensions of the mats because I'm not going to be using 12 by 24s. I'm going to be using 12 by 12s. You're going to know you mirrored your image because once you do that, it's going to flip it over to the other side. Now here it's going to ask me, do I want to print? I'm going to tell it yes. I'm going to turn off the bleeds. I'm going to say I want to use system dialog. And in this case, I am using my ET15000 from Epson. It is a printer I converted about 2.5-3 years ago, and I'm very pleased with it. Again, if that's something you're considering, I would be happy to do a video breakdown on it and why I like it, as well as the presets that I use to get my vibrant colors on all of my sublimation garments and items. So I'm just double checking that here. I always turn on a print preview just so that I have one final check and balance, quality assurance, make sure I'm not missing anything. And that's popping up on the screen now. Love that. Now remember, you got to be careful because we only want to mirror one time. We do not want something mirrored and it double mirrors, which is what happened here. So I had to go back and fix that. But once I'm done with that, we'll move on over into our glitter heat transfer vinyl, which is what makes this hack possible on 100% cotton garments. And I'm going to go ahead and tell it to print. I've selected the type of material, which is glitter iron-on, and the cutter machine is going to cut that. I didn't think you guys wanted to see that. You saw me cut previously. While that's on, we've turned on the heat press because it has to warm up. Now, before we can get started pressing on the materials, we need to prep the garment. So in this case, I am getting moisture out of the shirt, and I pressed a crease in the middle because I want to make sure that I line up my image properly. This is the first layer going down. Now remember, you can do layers with HTV vinyl on top of one another, but the minute you involve a glitter vinyl, you have to do that in a certain order. So in this case, the heat transfer vinyl, which happens to be our cranberry color, is the first layer we're going to put down. Once we have that down and we know that that is going to stick, then we will layer the glitter vinyl on top. You really don't want to do it the opposite way because it's going to be very easy for the heat transfer vinyl to not stick properly. The other thing is I put some heat transfer tape down on that because it was really hot. I found working with heat transfer gloves that I use in my tumblers and coffee mugs harder to do when I'm dealing with apparel. But you do what's safe for you. Next thing I want to do is do my layer. I do need to change my heat source, turn it up a little bit higher so that my glitter can stick. So I'm going ahead and layering that on top. It looks really good. I don't need the heat transfer tape here because the garment's already hot. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. Do 20 seconds with it. And it had been a minute since I had did a layer look with heat transfer vinyl and glitter vinyl. So I forgot, y'all, that you need to let the glitter be a cool peel, not a hot peel. So you see me trying to peel it up and it's still not sticking, but that's because I was impatient and I need to let it cool. So it hits me that that's what the problem is. So I went on ahead and said, well, let's go on ahead and press our image for our Peppa Pig. So we're going to go ahead and remove our tag. And we're going to go ahead and lay that down. The one thing I loved about these projects is that I was able to eyeball them. These garments are a smaller size, so I'm able to see it all in one view. And so we're going to pre-press that, get that moisture out of that particular garment. Loving that peachy color. So we're going to take this time our first piece of glitter iron-on vinyl, and we're going to go ahead and layer that down. Now I do have the sublimation image on top of it just because in order for this to work, those little shell swoops in the frame have to align. We don't want Peppa crooked. And I am using my ruler that I keep nearby just to make sure that I am evenly distributing in the middle, because I didn't want to put a crease in the middle of this one. So we're going to go ahead and press that down. We have now figured out that we do need to let it cool. So we should be good on that. We just wanted to make sure that it looked like it stuck. So I think we're good. We're going to go ahead and turn that heat on up to 385, which is what we need for sublimation. And while it was doing that, I was just getting the timer ready. I do 385 at 50 seconds. Not sure what your machine is going to need. And as you see, now that it's nice and cool, I'm able to peel it off with no problems. Ooh. Need some water, getting tongue tied, but she's so pretty. Really like that one. All right, we've given ourselves a few minutes for the vinyl to cool off so we can pull off the carrier sheet. And now we just got to line Peppa back up, swoops with swoops. And we are going to use some heat transfer tape because sublimation paper can move. The minute you put the clamp down or any kind of movement, really, it will make it ghost. It'll make it smudge. And I don't want to ruin the pretty one piece that we came up with. So we're going to put some heat transfer tape around that. The good thing is because the glitter vinyl underneath is nice and thick, I don't need to put a piece of paper in between to keep the color from bleeding to the back of the garment. The vinyl is thick enough to do that for me. And I don't need to put anything on top because I use quality paper. I like A-Sub. It has never let me down when it comes to my sublimation. So my mindset is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, at least for now. So we're going to go ahead and let that temperature in the heat press get all the way up to 385. And then we're going to go ahead and press it. So you might want to test your own machine and test your time and temperature. I know mine because I went to Walmart and bought a bolt of polyester fabric from the fabric department for like $4. I got like 3 yards. And so whenever I'm testing something, I just test it on that. I test color, I test size. That's how I was able to learn the time and temp for my own machine. That was a good buy. And I wasn't even planning on telling y'all that in this video, but I guess it came to me and I'm going to always share some good tips. All right, so you know that buddy is hot, hot, hot. So I'm trying to fan it off so I can touch it. So yes, we're gonna go ahead and lift that up, peel off that sheet, and Peppa has arrived. Oh, my niece is gonna be so happy. Whew, baby, that garment is hot. Hot. I dropped that like a hot potato, didn't I? Anyway, she's cutie. They all turned out really good. I'm really, really happy with them all. That was the first one. That's vinyl and rhinestone. This is vinyl and glitter vinyl. And Peppa with our 100% cotton hack. She's going to love each and every one of these. Which one is your favorite? The thing we've got to do is we've got to measure the tumblers. So these are 3 tumblers, pink, clear, and this beautiful teal color. that I got from Walmart. So they were $1 a piece. So we're already starting out with $1, right? And I'm going to show you 3 different ways to upsell these tumblers that cost $1. Because if anybody's got a Walmart, they know it costs $1. So how do you do something to these that will convince them that it is worth paying anywhere from $7 to $10 for what you're about to do? Now, I say 7 to 10 based on the most basic things that I'm going to show you. But if you do anything with rhinestones with these, then you can take these prices up even higher, because they're not just paying for the $1 tumbler from Walmart, they're also paying for the rhinestones. So they're all 3 the same size. And what the first thing is that I need to do is measure, because we're going to put some custom names on these. So the first thing I've got to do is measure the size of the name. So if I'm doing, and you guys can see, if I'm doing, y'all see my nail? Let's talk about this for a second. I know this ain't got nothing to do with the video, but y'all know we keep it real over here. So I was convinced to get longer nails in celebration of my birthday. I have never grown nails this long, nor have I ever had them this long. So I listened to my nail technician and I got these long nails. Well, as you can see, I had a battle and the nail won, y'all. The nail won. It's gone. I don't know when it popped off, where it popped off, but ain't nobody got time for that. We'll get that fixed on Monday. Anyway, back to the video. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to measure. So I just got a regular stretchy tape measure. I know they sell some on Amazon that, can kind of go around the cup and everything, but I had this in my stash, so why go spend money that I didn't need to? So when I measure this, I think it's coming across backwards to you all, but I apologize for that. There we go. Okay, so we know that the cup ends at 6, but we don't want to put a name all the way down to 6. And we also don't want to start the name right here at the lid. So I'm probably going to go down to 5, because that's a nice little amount. And then based on the width across the front of the cup, if we're going to do that, let's start it, say right here. And this is width-wise of the wording. So we probably could do like 2.5. So it'll be 2.5 by 5. And we can do that for all 3 of our cups. So that means when we put our offset or our outline around these, because on the first one, we're going to do 2 layers of permanent vinyl, which you will need a cutter machine to make this work. So that's what we're going to do here. On the next one, and again, I'm just pointing them out. I'm not sure which colors. I'll know when I go pick the vinyl which one's going to be what. But on this one, we're going to do sticker paper, permanent vinyl sticker paper. Again, you will need a cutter machine for that, but that's what we're going to do on this one. And then this one, because I think I'm going to actually keep one of them for myself, I'm going to HTV anything with this, and I'm going to do some glitter vinyl and some rhinestone. So 3 different ways to do these tumblers that are $1, and then we'll calc out how much we think you can sell them for when we're done. But remember, we're doing a 2.5 by 5 is our measurement. All right, so let's get into design space and get our first name put in. We are back in design space. So when I am designing for cups or tumblers and I am using vinyl or even sublimation, I like to give myself some choices. So the first thing that you see me doing is we're going to get our name. I told y'all before I changed the color because I need to be able to see what I'm working with. And so the first one is going to be Lawanza. That is my sister's name. And in this case, I picked my first font that I like, and that one is called Beauty Shine. Again, all of these came from Creative Fabric. The next one is Sulastri. I hope I'm saying that right, script. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. You're going to know that it is the fonts that you've downloaded because your fonts will show up under system, meaning what is uploaded to your computer. That other one will show you Cricut. That's what Cricut comes with standard. then it'll let me show the ones I've used most recently. So what I do is I type out whatever the word is 3 times. So I'm duplicating it, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to find my third font. And the third font that I was contemplating was called Retro Honey, because it was kind of cute. It had hearts. I told y'all we love a good heart in my family. So I was thinking about trying to do it that way. So now I got all 3 and I'm looking at them, really trying to figure out which one I'm kind of jazzed with. Now I love the fact that they all 3 look different. The first 2 kind of have a similarity, but they're kind of different. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to put all of them in the size that we measured. Remember, and we measured out what our letters, the length that it could go to. We said a 5 in our length and a 2.5 in our width. So we want to go ahead and unlock the keypad, change that so that we can actually see what will these letters look like. Because remember, we're also going to do an offset on these so that the tumblers can really stand out and look pretty. So we're going to go ahead and resize them. I'm doing that to everything, and then I'll make the screen a little bit bigger in a moment so that we can really see what we're doing. But for right now, we're just trying to see what would the fonts look like in the size that our blank is going to need. And I don't know if I said it in the beginning part of it, but in this case, because we are going to be doing the 2 different methods on this one, I know I said 3, but I'm not going to have time to do the one that's for myself, and so I just focused on the ones for my sister and her family. So looking at that, those letters are way too close together, so I know that's not a font that I'm going to be interested in. So that's usually how I get rid of the first option. Now I have 2 options to choose from. And remember, we talked about the importance of a word being welded together so that the machine does not cut them as individual letters. We need this all together. So we highlight the word and then we go down and we click on the button and we click weld. Now Cricut, when it goes to cut this, is going to cut it all in one layer. So anything touching is now welded or merged together, if you will. So now I get to see them both. The next thing to do, because I still like them both at this point. So the next thing I need to do is I need to see which one looks better with an offset, because I already know that I want to use this beautiful pink holographic font. I'm sorry, pink holographic vinyl, permanent vinyl, and then I have my white vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the offset on to both. I'm going to move them down so that I can see them. And right now, I don't know why I'm partial to that. I'm always partial to designing in black and yellow, and then deciding to change it into whatever I need it to be when I get ready to cut it. But I always do that. I wonder why. I guess I didn't notice that until I started making videos. Some of the patterns that I operate under. Crazy. But anyway, so now we're going to go ahead and check out this offset. And as you see, I went to go move it, and I didn't highlight them both together. Sometimes you can drag it all the way over it and then just look over in your panel and make sure that both are highlighted in green. And then once you've done that, you know that you have them both together. And because this is going to be a basic cut, I don't have to worry about doing that whole process of flattening it. But remember, we need it to be 5 by 2.5. So once I put that offset on, it did change the dimensions of that. And so I had to go back up there and fix that. And that's why I needed to highlight them both. Then I went on ahead and grouped them together so that they operate as one unit. Now we're going to go ahead and do this with the second one. And let me see what I like about that once I add my offset to that. See how much bigger is it going to actually make it. And then we can determine between the two which one we like the best. So I'm just getting that together. And guys, I don't have a cookie cutter approach to that. I pick my offsets based on how I like the look of it as I'm working on each project. Sometimes, like when I'm working on rhinestones, I know one particular setting and I stick to that. But when it comes to this type of work in Cricut, I don't always know which offsets I prefer. It just depends on the word that I'm working with. So that's a little trial and error, but I'll eventually figure it out. And then I put it together. And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, is this one? Now it's cute. Don't get me wrong. It's cute. And I am liking it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and change the size just to make sure that I have the size to fit right, but something about that L in the first option, I don't know, it's kind of spicy, and my sister's kind of spicy, so I think that one is cuter. And even though I am testing them both, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with that first one. So put them up next to each other, and I just ask myself which one do I love the best, and I love the top option. Do you guys agree, or would you have gone with the second one? Well, now we know what we're doing. We know what we have. And really, just to keep in mind, when you're using Cricut, they give us these colors and dimensions. It's all for the visual aesthetics of it all. It's so that you will know what your stuff will look like when you get ready to go and cut it. And so that's why they give you the option to be able to change stuff around. But it really doesn't matter what color you design in. What's really going to matter is when you send it over for the cut time in the machine, what materials will you put on the mat? That's where the rubber meets the road. But this is just giving me a visual. And so, as you're going to end up seeing at the end of it all, I ended up deciding to go with this pretty pink holographic permanent vinyl and white. I didn't even know that when I was designing that I had the pink holographic color. But once I saw that and knowing my sister's style and taste, I knew she would prefer me to change out the two shades of pink and actually go with the holographic one. Plus, using different types of vinyl that have a little bit more oomph to them allows you to do a little bit more of an increase inside of your pricing. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're walking into some of those vinyl stores and you see some of those random things on sale that you might not normally ever buy. The difference in that stuff gives you the opportunity to add a little bit of extra money into your price point. So don't sleep on those sales, guys. So y'all listen, I gotta apologize. I don't know what happened to the content that I filmed when I made these, but what I did was, as you can see, we have the beautiful pink iridescent holographic permanent vinyl that we used for her name, and then we did a white offset. We added those hearts that we love in my family, like I told you before, and I think it turned out so pretty. The other one that I'm going to show you, we did the white and I used a Via sticker paper. It is glossy. I found a beautiful, funny cat image that says, "Touch it, I dare you," off of Creative Fabrica. Printed that out and put it on our tumbler. Time to make a memory mug. We lost our dad to cancer in 2012, and we still feel the void every single day. And my sister was mentioning how much she was missing him the other day while we were having a conversation, and I decided what a wonderful thing to make for her, something that she can hold on to. I asked her to send me some pictures that she had that were her favorite, and she did. And I brought all those pictures over into Canva. I am editing and uploading them in a way that is going to allow me to fit them into some frames. And if you want to see a video on how to use Canva frames to make mugs like this, I would be happy to do a full-blown step-by-step tutorial in that. I will slow down and show you all of it. But for the cases and purposes of this video, I am taking the pictures and moving them around, editing them, and then I'm going to pick my frame. I love the clamshell frame, as you can tell. I like it because it looks like there's an extra design that was done to it as opposed to a straight square or a rectangle. And I'm pitting them first in the frame that I want them to go in. We're going to definitely put the main image in a heart, and then the other ones are allowing me to set the pictures up. So first thing I'm doing is just putting everything inside of the frame, and then I'm going to get rid of the other one. My coffee mugs, I use a special paper, which I'm going to show you when it's time to put this cup together, but the sizing is 9.5 in width by 4 inches in height. That is standard 11-ounce coffee mugs, but I have found that this also works for my 15-ounce coffee mugs that I also sell in my small business. So now this is all around design and around your preferences. There is no right or wrong to this. You may love the rectangular frames, you may love the stars, you may want all hearts. This is just what I've chosen to use. So once I get my pictures in the frames the way I want them, I'm going to go ahead here and pick my font, figure out what I want it to say. I sped this up because this part did take a little bit of time, but it's mostly because I'm a slow designer. Like, I'm not a graphic designer by trade, so I don't know how to just jump in here and just do it all quick and fast like everybody else does. I take my time with my projects, and this one was no different. Plus, I was getting a little nostalgic and a little eye sweating going on as I was making it, because we really do miss my dad. He was an amazing guy and a super great father, and we were very, very lucky that God put us all together. So we are now going in and playing around with some of the elements. Just keep in mind that when you're working in Canva, if you do not have the paid version of Canva, you would not be able to use some of the images that elements, that I am using. You know the difference in Canva. If you're new to Canva, it will have a little gold crown that indicates that you are paying for it. I pay for it under my business, and so this is me just using some of that. Now, I'll be honest with you, I pay for it. I think it's worth it. I believe I pay $12.99. I would have to double check that. They're always running specials, and I think there are some crafters out there that have an affiliate link that can actually save you money. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But I went on ahead and paid for it because I think that this is one of those hidden costs that makes it easy for me to do my business and let my creativity shine. But they have a lot of beautiful options that you can use that do not cost anything. So again, I'm sticking with the pink thing when it comes to her. I'm playing around with it. I'm clicking on them, moving them to the back. I thought that was too pink because one thing you have to keep in mind when you sublimate, and we are actually going to sublimate on this mug. The mug, I actually got it this time from Walmart because I was there shopping and I knew I was going to make this video. So I went in their Cricut section, and so this is a Cricut sublimation mug. But I know that regardless of what shows up on the screen, the sublimation process is going to make it very deep and rich in color. And so all those pink backgrounds I was using in the screen a little bit ago would have been too dark, and I just felt like it would have taken away from the cup that I was trying to create. So I decided to start over, and I told y'all I'm not afraid to pivot. If I want something to change, I go in and I change it. And that's the beautiful thing about being a crafter, and that's the beautiful thing about being a creator, which we all are, is that we start with what feels good to us, and then we take it from there. So I'm liking this a whole lot better. Sometimes I want to make sure that words stand out on my cup, and sublimation doesn't print in white, but the way that you can do that is to add an offset, which Canva does allow me to do. So as you can see, I was able to add an offset around that. Now I'm just checking my size. I'm making sure that I'm liking that. And you know us, honey, we need us a good little heart. So here come the hearts. And we're going to make those some hot pink hearts and do a little flip around and kind of arc that, get us a little cup balance, highlight everything and group it. And then we're going to go ahead and download and bring that on over. So we got to save it. I'm still learning this new computer, and my computer automatically brings everything into Adobe Illustrator because that's the design program that I finish off everything in. So I'm just picking my settings, setting my settings up. Again, sublimation. So I'm printing from the ET15000 converted sublimation printer. And you know what? When they say converted, what they really mean is they bought their printer and they never put in the base ink that came with it. They used sublimation ink. Version 123. So this is everything that I use. I use a Brace paper. I get this from Amazon. I love it. I've been using it from day one. I have never had a problem with this. This color comes off beautifully. It dries really well. You print it out, you mirror it. There you see me with a piece of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It's what I use for blowout paper. So when I'm making something, I'm going to do a video too about this, just the different hacks that I use to get through. I know some people buy paper to wrap around their mugs. I use 8.5 by 11 just to make sure it's not going to bleed onto my mug press. And I've never had a problem. So this is just me measuring the cup to make sure that I'm going to get the right amount of the paper. You would think that I could just cut the sublimation paper piece and measure it from there, but some of that is going to stay on the cup and it won't matter because it'll be covered by tape. So this is just me making sure that anything exposed to the heat of the mug press that I'm going to be using, it will not bleed onto my machine, which is important because I don't want it to then bleed on every other project that I do after that. I've got my scissors, my heat transfer tape, and I have my little cup holder, I guess, tumbler holder. I'm not really sure what I should be calling that, but a really good girlfriend of mine made that for me so that I could balance everything out and when I do it. So you'll see that in a moment. So what I do first is I fold my paper in the middle, make my little light crease. I don't go real hard, but I make a light little crease so I can see where the middle of the design is going to be. And then once I make sure that that's good, I have my handle face toward me. And then I put that middle straight across from the handle, and then I bring it around to the sides. And if I did everything right and designed it properly, I should be good to go. So we want to make sure it's even because that is the one thing I cannot stand drinking on a mug. And I have bought some and people had it on their crooked. So now that I know where I need to go, there's just a little bit of sliver and cut that I needed to do, just to make sure that it was even and Dad's face is right where it should be. So now we're going to just test it one more time. I'm going to press it a little closer just to make sure that that fold doesn't bow out. And it's looking pretty good. Yeah, that's about good and right. And some people think that it should come all the way to the handle. No, it does not have to come all the way to the handle. That's where you get that ghosting, and I don't like that. So I'm going to put my first piece of tape, and then I'm going to pull, tighten it real good, and put another piece of tape. I'm telling y'all, these nails are making it real hard for me. Oh my goodness. So now this can be used. This is just some PVC piping and some pool noodles from the Dollar Tree. But she was amazing, and she cut and she made these for me. So it allows me to put the mug down and get my tape where I need it to be. I told y'all in the other part of the video, I'm an over taper, but I rather over tape than under tape, and then not have it bleed through. That is the worst nightmare when you spent this money for your materials and then it bleeds through and you ruin other blanks from that. You don't want that because that's costing you money, and we're in a business to make money, not lose it because we messed up. Even though mistakes happen, those that we can prevent, we want to prevent. All right, so these are the way that I tape my mugs down. I'm going to move it off to the side now because it's weird when I'm filming and trying to explain what I'm doing. It's a little bit different than what I was used to when I'm just working by myself. So I'm sorry that it might be a little bit all over the place. I'm doing this as a YouTube video at the same time while I'm creating, and that's new for me. So anyway, I cut off the top and make sure that it's going to be flush. So now when I put the tape across the top, I'm going to kind of seal that in so I don't get that ghost effect. So we're going to seal the other side. And again, there may be someone who does it completely different. If you do your mugs different than what I'm showing here, please feel free and comfortable to share it down in the chat. We all are money makers here. And I want to create a community where you feel comfortable sharing what you do, if it works for you. And I'd love if you upload a picture and show us your work. And if you try any of what I'm doing, I definitely want to see how it turned out. Crinkle in there. Now, it matters when you're dealing with a sublimation mug because that crinkle will stop the ink from fixing to the mug, and then that'll ruin your coffee mug. And so we don't want that. Now, once I've got my sides taped down, I like to go around my top, all the way up at the top with half on the paper and half over the rim. And then I just pull it tight as I'm doing it so that it can lock that paper in for me. I don't like ghosting. I don't want the paper to rise up. So this is something extra that I do. I'm comfortable with it. Like I said, I'm an over taper. I already know that about myself. So if that drives you nuts, I'm sorry. Then I just go back around it, and because half is on the paper and half is on the rim, I'm able to smooth it. I smooth towards the opening of the cup and press down with my thumb. I hope that's making sense, but that's making it seal nice. And then I just make sure I do the same thing on the bottom. And even though with the right pressure on your mug press, you should not have any ghosting, I don't like to take chances because I don't like to waste my coffee mugs. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. This time we're going to push and pull away from the bottom of it, and we just smooth it over. We are doing the same thing all the way around. And now our mug is good and secure. And we're going to go ahead and put us some blowout paper around that just in case. And even though I didn't use it when I did it in the other heat press, this is again what I've always done since I've started making mugs, and I don't believe in changing unless something makes me change when it comes to this stuff. It's worked for me all this time, and I've made over 1,000 coffee mugs since I've been in business, and it's always worked for me. So for this, I just make sure I line it up with the bottom. I go ahead and put some tape across the sides to seal it. Notice that I said this paper didn't have to come all the way over like the sublimation paper did, because that tape is also a protector. So I don't have to worry about that. The only thing I have to do now is, and that's if I want to, is cut off the excess paper along the top of the cup. But even if I left that in there, it would not detract from the cup being pressed properly inside of the mug. It's just an extra step that you can take if you want to. Like I said, I just want to make sure that I'm protecting the interior of my mug press machine because it gets really hot inside of the mug press. So we're just repositioning the tape. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off that little bit of extra paper. Like I said, if I chose to leave it on there, it would have been just fine. But since I had the scissors nearby, it just made sense to get it even. And yes, this is how I do each and every one of my cups. If you've ever ordered a cup from me, I'm sure you will appreciate the time and attention taken to it, because I do this for each and every cup. And I have very few mistakes when it comes to my cups. So now I wanted you guys to be able to see what I do when I go ahead and make it. So this is me using, I have two mug presses. One is Better Sub. That's the yellow one. The purple one that I'm using. And then I have a bigger one that I'll show you guys in another video. But I go ahead and get my machine turned on. Once it gets up to temperature and you put your mug in, it does drop the temperature. So don't be surprised from that. I put on my heat resistant gloves to take it out because it's super hot. And then I get my picker tool. I go ahead and start peeling off the tape. I went on ahead and sped this up. I didn't want you guys to watch the mug countdown. That just takes forever. So we're going to go ahead and get all the tape off. Being careful. And it's hot. It's hot. But I got one heat transfer glove on. And I think I'm going to bring it closer. Yeah, there we go. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? The light is giving you guys a bit of a glare, but I promise you this video does not do it justice. It is so stinking cute. It is so cute. She gonna cry when she get it. She probably gonna cry if she see this video because it made my heart sing. It's a beautiful cup. It turned out so beautiful. And I'm telling you, memory mugs are definitely a good seller for me. I make those in my small business, Finer Deals. And yeah, it turns out really beautiful. So now we're ready to package. We have made quite a few items. This is how I package my mugs. This is how I package my tumblers. And so I wanted them to have the full experience. I use the little streamers. I tie little bows. I color coordinate them. I get a whole big old batch of them in every single color from the swap meet here in Florida. There's a big one on Sunrise Boulevard, and so there's a lady that sells party favors and such. So I'm patronizing another small business when I do this. And yeah, I'm packaging them up, color coding them with the streamers, and that is going to help them fit inside of the box. And when they get it, you feel like you're getting something super cute and special. If I were selling these, to be quite honest with you, I would easily sell for $10, especially with the sticker paper one. I would definitely do that. The cost of that is probably $2 at best, so I would probably sell it for 10. If I'm doing a customized name, I would probably do 12. Now let's pack up our little cute items for my niece. Let's get all of that in one package together. I use cellophane t-shirt bags, and they sub just as great for a t-shirt as they do for items like this. They self-seal. I love that. And they're easy to open. So let's get those put in. And I think we're ready to wrap up this video. All right, so we have made everything that we are putting in our little goodie box for my sister and her family. So I got an Amazon delivery today, so I repurpose boxes around here because what? We make a supplemental income. So we're not gonna spend no money on no extra box when a perfectly good box done came in. Now, if I'm being honest, if I'm sending it to a client and they got a real big order, then I'm gonna use another box. But my sister will give me grace about this, and I'll just remove all the labels and everything. So let's make sure that we have everything that is supposed to go in here. I think I'm missing one extra thing, which is we've got to take her coffee mug, her memory mug of her and my dad. And I think I gotta make me one of those so I can have coffee with my dad too whenever I think about him. But go ahead and put her coffee mug in this box, because I get these boxes, in case anybody is wondering, I get these boxes from Uline. I have a business account with them, and these are 5x5 boxes. The reason I get these and I like these is because usually when I order my coffee mugs, they come in a box on their own. And this set just happened to not, but usually they come in a box that's measured 4x4x4, and that box fits perfectly in here, doesn't add too much weight, and it keeps the box from breaking. But because it's going in here with other soft items, I can really insulate it in that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in here. And I think another little hack I'm gonna show you guys that I do be right there. When there's extra space inside of the box, like I'm not double boxing it, but so, you know, obviously I don't want it moving around inside, even though I put it inside some bubble wrap. I just get some standard 8.5 by 11 copy paper, which I always have, and I just crumple that up and I stuff it all along the sides, usually 3 pieces for a box of this size. This is what I do in a pinch when I don't have the cardboard paper that I keep. But notice it does the exact same thing. Now there's no space, there's no moving around. So this is gonna keep it protected, and I have bubble wrap on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna close that and put one more piece of tape right here across the top just to keep it in. So now box is good to go. Now, what started this little goodie box is where my sister lives, they didn't have my niece's school uniform shirt that she was gonna need for preschool. And so I checked my local Walmart and they had it. And so while I was in Walmart looking for the perfect shirt, that's how I came across all these little goodies that you can customize and sell at a pop-up shop on your website. Because while you are not selling the physical items, you're selling your designs that you put on there. And that's what you will be advertising. So, you know, we saw how we made these and upskilled these. This one is really my favorite because I just love how that glitter vinyl layered so nicely over that cranberry color. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in there. Oh, Lordy be. Oh, it done went the other side, y'all. All right. And then we know we had this. We showed you two different ways that we were able to customize the water tumblers. They were $1. Pretty colors, clear and pink. On this one, we used our permanent vinyl in our holographic pink and our permanent white in matte. And then on here, we actually used the Via sticker paper. So we designed our little guy and we put it on here. And this is for my brother-in-law, who, by the way, makes really great beats and music. Okay, we have her memory mug of her and my dad. So actually, we're gonna have to reset this. So we'll set that in first. Then we're gonna put in uniforms next to that. Right. We're gonna put the mug tumblers this way. And then lastly, we have our I'm With Her Harris 2024 shirt. And I just told her I was gonna surprise her with something. And since this is currently on sale on my website, I am dropping in our pretty yellow color with the black for her and my brother-in-law. So that's their box. I'm just looking around the room to make sure I did not miss anything else that I am supposed to be putting in here, because I'm bad like that. All right, so we think our box is all set to go, so we can go ahead and peel off these labels and stickers we do not need, right? Because we do not want to confuse our friends at the post office. So we can go ahead and tear all of these scannable pieces of sticker off. What I do appreciate is that they come off fairly easy, especially now that I lost the fight with that fingernail. I can really pull it up. Oh, I cannot wait to go on Thursday. I think I go Thursday. And she gotta show you these things down. I can't do it now. All right, so I'm gonna peel this off because we don't need that anymore. And we're just double checking. Nothing else that's on there. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get this closed down. Get our tape gun, as you can see. I think I did a video on where I get all my packing supplies from. I don't remember if I've uploaded it or not. But in case you're wondering, I get the gun and the tape. I get the gun from Uline. It came with tape, but when I ran out, I ordered my replacement on Amazon. It is down in my bio on my business must-have. All right, so now we done put that back on. Oops, let's get this little yellow sticker off too. I do tend to overtake a little bit, y'all, but I got family that works for FedEx and for the post office, and I know from them how rough those machines can be when you are put stuff there. So I just want to make sure that, you know, if it falls or something, it does not come open and the tape doesn't tear. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. It's clear packing tape. It doesn't put a lot of pound onto my order. The bottom is pretty sturdy and secure, so we are good to go there. And now all we got to do is weigh it and print out our label. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to head over to your local Walmart and find some of the items that I talked about. Let your creativity go crazy. Mostly, I mean, really everything that I showed you in the video today was less than $5 a piece to make, and you can absolutely increase your revenue by upcharging anywhere from an extra 5 to 10 to some cases 15. Honestly, that Mommy's Bestie set, I would do that for 20 all day long, and it would sell at a pop-up shop with me. Because when you think about it, when you go to pop-up shops and things like that, how many times do you see some of the same items on everybody's table? I'm not saying don't take, you know, trusted sellers like coffee mugs and tumblers, but how do you differentiate yourself? The one thing that everybody walking through a craft show or a pop-up shop has is a little person that they love. And so you being able to have cute, quality material items with really cute sayings for little girls and little boys, somebody's gonna buy it, whether that's the parent, the auntie, the uncle, the grandparents, the godparents, somebody, a big sister, big brother, somebody's gonna pick something else off of that table, and that's gonna be the difference between you packing all that stuff up to go back home or selling out. So if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up.
Please share this video if you care, and I hope you will subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And to all my moneymakers out there, you can do it. I believe in you. Now go be great.